Hi. Last time we took our ideas that we brainstormed in our sketches that we made and we put those images that we selected on our watercolor backgrounds. This time, our next step is to go over our image shapes with pen so that we can start to see our drawing. One of the things that is really important is when we have two shapes that go together, we are not going to draw through, we're going to draw on top. So you have to choose what's going to be on top. So if I have this shape is my artist palette and I have the heart, I have drawn the artist palette in front, so I have to draw the heart behind. Remember, we're using overlapping. We talked about that last time. What I noticed when I looked at your drawings is a lot of you are not making things three-dimensional, so try to do that if you can. What I don't want to have happen is I don't want my drawing to look like this, where I can't see which object is on top. So this is not what I want. Whatever is on top is going to overlap or cover up what is on the bottom. So when I come to my drawing, I've decided I want the palette on top. So I'm going to follow my pencil lines. And I want the paintbrush to overlap my palette. So you notice I stopped. And my painting or drawing is not glued down to the table. So if it feels awkward when I'm drawing or going over my pencil marks, I can turn my paper. So one of the things that's really important, you'll notice right now I'm not shading, I'm just going over my pencil marks. Thinking about how I'm making the forms 3D. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with the center here with my paint piles or circles, ovals, so I'm going to leave that. Remember, we're working on the watercolor background, so we're not going to be able to erase or use whiteout. So again, here my heart is overlapping my Eiffel Tower. And I don't want to be in a hurry. I don't want to be sloppy. It's important that I take my time because I am working in pen and ink, and I will not be able to change it easily if I change my mind. So if in the process of doing this, if I find that I am changing my mind or there's something I want to change, I would want to gently erase my pencil marks first, and then I would come back and make the corrections in pencil first so that I don't make a mistake. Now, sometimes mistakes do happen, and the challenge is if I make a mistake, I will, after I finish this step, I will have to figure out how I can make it look like that was a part of my plan. Here I have some extra pencil lines, so I'll take those out later. Remember, the ink is going to be fresh. So even if I ink my whole drawing, all of my pencil marks that I want to keep today, I'm going to let my drawing sit overnight before I erase any pencil lines that show that I don't want. Okay? So that's going to be important as well. And on this is my cinnamon roll. So I am not going to draw a solid line because I want to suggest the texture of the cinnamon roll and the frosting kind of going down in the crack. So if I make it a solid line, remember I can't erase it, it's pen. So, and I think here I'm going to make this a little bigger. It doesn't overlap enough, so I'll change that. Got the top of my frosting. End of the donut. So as I work around my drawing, I can start to get an idea for how the composition is going to come together. Overlapping of the objects is an essential part of the composition. So many of you had very fine ideas in your sketches, but you made very little use of overlapping. So that's going to be something that you're going to have to think more about. I'm going to leave my water lines in pencil right now. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with those, so now I'm going to come over to my swimmer. And again, the hand of the swimmer is going underneath the palette. Take your time. So if you have edges you're not sure about, you might want to leave those in pencil so you hold your drawing back and you kind of start to see the drawing and the composition emerge. Okay. Here's my ice cream sundae. And I'm working around my drawing. It might even help you to have somebody at home hold up your drawing from a distance so that you can see how the shapes of the objects are working together. So at this point, our drawing is really about line and about shape. Some of you had really smooth backgrounds, and so your watercolor background is just going to be more of that, a background. And some of you did use, now I've got that overlapping again, so my paintbrush is in front and my line is behind. And some of you really did focus or look at the shapes in your watercolor background and see what you wanted to keep and what you wanted to emphasize. I want to follow this line of the cable through, make sure that it lines up correctly. And when I have my objects inked, at least the basic shapes, then I'm going to take another look at my drawing and see if I need to do more with overlapping. But when we're looking at our drawings with just pencil, that's very difficult to see. Don't be in a hurry. Craftsmanship is really important. When I'm drawing my plane, I'm taking time to make sure that I have the wings and the engines where I want them and how I want them. And airplane windows are a little more rectangular, but I'm making them more circular in my drawing because I think it works a little better. So remember, we're working on the creative end, and then of course I need the cockpit. So we're not going to worry too much about the exactness or the realism. Okay, so that helps me see kind of how the drawing is developing. I still need to decide, this is the hole in the palette where we put our fingers, and now, or our thumb, so we can hold our palette. Sort of the traditional artist palette. And I'm looking at my pencil guides, but I'm not exactly following them here. So I'm sort of mostly following them, but I'm not going to be too exact. Okay. And now I do see that I really want to just put in follow some of my water lines for my swimmer here. I'm not going to make them as wide as what I had because we're going to work on that next time. So for today, I want you to take your sketch, and if you're happy with your drawing, you're going to take your black pen and work on identifying the shapes. Remember, it's really important where you have two shapes overlapping to choose which one is going to be on top. We want to see that one is obviously in the front. We don't want to see them drawn through each other. So pay attention to what you're drawing, and then you're going to take a photograph of this part, and we need to see this and turn this in for the assignment before we go to our next step. Next time we'll develop value and texture and review a couple of our pen and ink techniques, and we'll pick out where we're going to have our focal point.